He came to United States as a refugee in 1980. He wrote the book that was challenged 4 times since it was published. The novel has a spot in the American Library Association's list of frequently challenged books. He was criticized by the members of his community for how he portrayed his country. Despite all these backlashes, his novel was praised for its powerful storytelling and became the best-selling novel of 2005 in the United States and spent 101 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list, including 3 weeks at a number 1. The novel won exclusive Books Bouquet Prize and Silver Medal in California Book Award for Fiction. This is the story of one of the most celebrated writers of our time. This is the author's spotlight. If you guys have ever read The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, you guys must know that what I'm talking about. In his book, he writes, "Universe is conspiring in our favor even though we may not understand how." And the person that we are going to talk about today somehow experienced it in his life. Welcome to the very first episode of the Author's Spotlight, where we talk about your favorite writers and about their life, work, writing style, and their influence in the society and in the writers community. And today's writer is Khaled Hosseini. He was born on March 4, 1965 in Kabul, Afghanistan. He grew up in Kabul. His father was a diplomat and his mother is a teacher at a high school in Kabul. In 1976, he and his family moved to Paris, and in 1979, they were about to return their home country, but Soviet Union invasion of Afghanistan made it impossible for them to return their homeland. His family was granted political asylum in the United States in 1980, and they moved to San Jose, California. He graduated from high school in 1984 and earned a bachelor's degree in biology in 1988. Khaled was always interested in writing and everyone was expecting him to be a writer. But eventually he became a doctor and earned a medical degree in 1993 from the University of California and practiced it from 1996 to 2004. Now let's imagine that you used to play the games in your childhood that you enjoyed a lot and have a great memories. But now, someone tried to demolish them all by putting a ban on those games. How would you feel? That's what happened with the Khaled Hosseini. He began working on his first novel, The Kite Runner, in 2001, which started as a short story inspired by news reports of Taliban banning kite flying in Afghanistan, which struck his memories of his childhood, who used to fly kites in Kabul with his cousin.
When I grew up in the 60s and 70s, Afghanistan was a country living in anonymity, at peace with itself and with its neighbors. And my personal recollections are of my childhood in Afghanistan are very happy and cheerful.
He used to write at 4 a.m. before heading to his medical practice. The story centers on Amir and his childhood friendship with Hassan, the son of a family servant, and its subsequent dissolution. He submitted it to New York and Esquire, both of which rejected it. Finally, the book was published in 2003 by Riverhead Books. So The Kite Runner was a huge success, paving the way for more novels, and finally Hosseini quit practicing medicine in 2004. 1,000 Splendid Suns, which came out in 2007, was his second novel following the huge success of his best-selling 2003 debut novel. The novel was inspired by his observation of women wearing burqas during a 2003 visit to Afghanistan. The book depicts the radical shift in the political social climate of Afghanistan through the relationship between two women, Mariam and Leila, the first and second wives of an abusive husband. His third novel, And the Mountain Echoed, came in 2013. The novel chronicles the decades following the sibling divergence in 1950s Afghanistan. His most recent work is Sea Prayer, which came out in 2018. In his novel, he drew on the highly publicized death of a 3-year-old Syrian refugee who drowned in the Mediterranean Sea. In the book, a father reflects on his life as he and his son wait to depart from war-torn country Syria. Khaled Hosseini uses descriptive language rather than metaphors and similes. If you guys don't know what descriptive language is, it's a writing technique used to add depth to a piece of writing that can be done by using the descriptive words such as adjectives, adverbs, or descriptive verb to give the story added detail. Use of Khaled Hosseini descriptive language creates an illusion where the reader is able to picture what the author wishes them to see. They then are able to connect with the character and grow a bond with them. Along the descriptive language, Khaled Hosseini does use a few stylistic techniques such as foreshadowing. Foreshadowing is a narrative device in which a storyteller gives an advanced hint of what is to come later in the story. Sometimes he also applies a dialogic form to his narration to give it a conversational form. For instance, when Nana forbids Mariam from going to cinema with her father in A Thousand Splendid Suns, the narration takes the form of dialogues. Likewise, his novels have visual representation and create lucid imagery to present his thought more clearly and precisely. Hussein's novels are famous for their empathetic tone and common human feeling like love, hatred, betrayal, revenge, power, forgiveness, redemption, and loss. In A Thousand Splendid Suns, there is enough destruction caused by the powerful sex on a large as well as individual scale. Likewise, there is a mutual feeling of love and intimacy between Leila and Tariq. Similarly, the domination of Rashid over his wives also shows power over the weak and submissive. Michelle Cohen-Korzenti, the author of the book The Almond Tree, says Khaled Hosseini inspired her writing. In 2006, Khaled was appointed a goodwill ambassador for UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency. Inspired by a trip he made to Afghanistan with the UNHCR, he later established the Khaled Hosseini Foundation, which provides humanitarian assistance to the people of Afghanistan. Hosseini tried to break the stereotypical concept of the West about the Eastern life through his novels. So this was the story of a doctor turns out to be a writer who wrote to revive his childhood memories and write the truth of a nation and its culture. That's it for today's video. See you in the next one.